9:47. It's about this time on Wednesday mornings we present Ask the Lawyer with Bruce L. Scheiner, attorney for the injured. And maybe this morning is the time that your question gets answered if you've ever submitted one. If you've always wanted to submit one, I'll tell you how to go about that coming up in a moment as well. First, would you please help me welcome Bruce L. Scheiner, attorney for the injured. Good morning, Bruce.
Hey, good morning, Todd. How you doing this beautiful morning?
Just fantastic, and it really is a nice-looking morning. How are things with you?
Everything's excellent, thank you.
As is always the case with Mr. Positivity. And you also not only bring positivity to everything you do, but you also bring a wealth of experience to these questions when they're submitted to us. Are you ready to dive into today's?
I am ready.
All right, here we go. It says, the email says the following. My nephew was involved in a significant crash involving a Hertz rental car. The driver of the rental car was at fault. The driver, who was working in Florida for a McDonald's corporate, rented the car to visit local franchises. My nephew has sustained severe injuries, including several surgeries. But when we contacted Hertz Rental to seek restitution for his injuries, Hertz denied liability, saying the rental car companies are not liable for injuries caused by renters. Is that true? Is there anything a lawyer might be able to do? I think there are several different angles one might take on this. Why don't you tell us about that?
Well, this is, as usual, a very interesting question. Mm-hmm. And when we look at the history of insurance in Florida, rental cars, as with every car, there's a principle of loss known as dangerous instrumentality.
Okay.
And that means that the owner of a dangerous instrumentality, which is a car, is responsible for the negligent actions of the driver.
Okay.
So in years past, Hertz would be responsible.
Okay.
However, several years back, Congress passed a law, actually added it on, and it's a sneaky amendment, and said that rental car companies were no longer responsible for their drivers.
Okay.
So we start by looking at, well, what could this person do? Well, fortunately, we know that the driver of the car was using it for his employment with McDonald's.
Correct.
So as an employee of McDonald's would be responsible for the actions of their employee, and McDonald's would be liable.
Okay.
So there's great news in this case for this poor injured person.
Okay.
But that's a great example of why, as soon as you're involved in an accident, you need to call an experienced personal injury lawyer, because Hertz, they were technically right, but of course they wouldn't take the next step and say, hey, we're not responsible, but McDonald's is.
Right. And
so,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think in situations like this, too, the vehicle itself may prove to be a part of what you need to get some restitution here. And Hertz, having technically owned the vehicle, could very easily take possession of that vehicle. Don't you want to get to it first somehow?
Normally you do. Depends on the facts of the case. But we would, in a serious injury case like that, we would send what we call a spoliation letter to them, telling them not to do anything to the car until we got a opportunity to inspect it. And sometimes you want to download the black box.
Right. And that would involve a special investigator, which, of course, you would totally handle for the client in this case.
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay. Now, another thing is, you think McDonald's, you think big corporation, you think lots of insurance, deep pockets. That doesn't mean they're just going to roll over and automatically pay a claim, is it?
Oh, no, they're going to fight you like crazy. At least there's a source to, for recovery.
But you really need somebody with experience on your side to know how to navigate that that red tape and the system that's going to be put in place by their insurance. So that's why we recommend getting a hold of a professional quickly.
That's great advice.
Okay, Bruce, well, thank you again. Here's somebody who hopefully breathes a little sigh of relief about getting some restitution. And we do appreciate, of course, your expertise weighing in each and every week. I hope today's made you feel like you were taken back to law school, as you often say they do.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting question, and it's crazy how Congress snuck that bill through protecting rent-a-car companies.
Right. Everybody needs to be aware of that before they rent a car or deal with rental car companies. Be aware that that's something that changed.
Yeah, that's true. Everybody should make sure they buy additional insurance.
Very, very good piece of advice. Actually, I'm glad we covered that even at the last second. Bruce, looking forward very much to talking to you again next week.
Okay, thanks a lot, Todd.
All right, you take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bruce L. Scheiner, attorney for the injured. Now, if you would like to submit a question for future consideration, all you have to do is go to our website and put the keyword Bruce into the search box. It's easy to do, and then you can submit whatever question has always bothered you or made you curious about the law. If you have a situation where you've been injured, as is the case here, please directly contact the Port Charlotte office of Associates and Bruce L. Scheiner. That way you can get some help. You see how the urgency factor plays in this question. Same would apply to you. You can get some immediate help. Number is 941-743-7777. 941-743-7777. Tell them that Todd Matthews sent you from Kicks Country 92.9.